Hi beauties, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a part 2 video. This is my best of 2019, so I'm going to talk about all of my favorite beauty products. I've already had my part 1, which was my foundations and concealer, my primers and powder. So I discussed all of that in my first video. So today we're going to talk about blush, bronzer, contour, and highlighter. So if you'd like to find out more, then just keep watching. Alright guys, so here we go, part 2. I want to see if I can be a little bit faster because I have a feeling that my first video is going to be long. You guys will have already seen it by the time I edit this one though. Let's jump on in. This year was the year of makeup for me. I bought a lot of makeup to the point where I'm like, am I a makeup hoarder? I don't really think I am, because I honestly think if I didn't have my channel, I wouldn't buy as much makeup as I buy. It's now become a little bit of a habit because I've been purchasing so that I can try it out for my channel and for you guys. But I honestly think I would slow down a little bit if I didn't have this channel. So I don't think I'm a hoarder, but I got a lot of makeup. Let's start with bronzer. You know guys, I love bronzer. I think I fell so hard for bronzer because I didn't use it until 4 or 5 years ago. Once I discovered bronzer, I was hooked. So I wanted to try everything. And then once brands got more inclusive and just started coming out with beautiful shades for women of color, I just wanted to try them all. So I do have a couple of videos here talking about my favorite bronzers for deeper skin tones. And I have actually reviewed a few bronzers like FENTY as well as Physicians Formula. If you want to read the entire novel about my bronzer obsession, then check out those videos, but I tried to really narrow it down for my best of 2019 videos. So I have only a few that I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to start with an oldie but goodie that is kind of my favorite because I've been talking about this one so long ever since I tested it for the first time. I'm going to go ahead and share it with you first. So this is my Becca Ipanema Sun, and nothing has touched this bronzer as far as being a favorite of mine. Recently, I really started trying to think, why do I love this bronzer so much? I think it is the tone of this bronzer that I love so much. It is warm, but it is the perfect brown for my complexion. And when I wear this, it just is the perfect undertone. It just looks right on me. And I think that's why I love it so much. And even though I have not hit pan on this, this is probably my most used bronzer, my most loved and most used. It's not completely matte, but you don't see shimmer particles and things like that when you use it, but it really adds this soft, radiant or natural finish, not completely matte. I don't know what it is, y'all, but this one is bae and nothing has touched it yet. Some other ones tried to come for it, but they didn't succeed, but I will talk about them. So I also tested out the Bajan Gyal, if that's correct. You know, I've been trying to pronounce this all year, but this is from Fenty Beauty. I also have Coco Naughty, but I really enjoyed this one a lot. It's also a warmer bronzer. It's lighter than my Ipanema Sun. So whenever I want to add warmth to my skin and I really want it to look warmer, I will choose this one. So I love the shade of it. Just to kind of give you a comparison, this one is deeper. This one's deeper, but still beautiful tone for me, and this is warmer. Another bronzer I discovered from the drugstore that actually looks a lot like Bajan Gyal is the City Bronzer from Maybelline, and it is a dupe. I'm sure it wasn't meant to be, but it looks exactly like this one on the skin. They look the same. I swatched them in my most recent bronzer video and they look the same. So if you're looking for a drugstore alternative to this bronzer, this is the one. This is the shade 300, and Also adds beautiful warmth in the pan. It doesn't look like much, but it looks really pretty on my skin. I have been loving that one this year. I purchased the Toasted as well as the Caramel shade of the Hoola bronzer, and I really liked the caramel shade. I don't really like these boxes at all that they come in, but this caramel shade is sort of a neutral, sort of warm brown. And at first when I purchased this, I was like, this might not be dark enough for me. And I wanted to try it on camera with you guys. So I ordered the Toasted, and this was plenty dark. When I mixed the two, oh, it's heavenly. So a lot of times when I wear this, I will mix it with Toasted. Toasted is much deeper. It's actually a good contour shade for me. This is so beautiful on my skin, and it is matte. And it is lovely. I was most excited when Benefit came out with their deeper shades. I was happy that finally they were getting on board with deeper shades for women of color. I started using this a lot in the last few months because I was using an older one that I had. I was using the Four Seasons bronzer by Guerlain, and they don't even make that anymore, and I've hit pan over and over again. Like, I've hit pan. I reordered just the regular Terracotta bronzer in number 5. They don't make number 7 anymore, but 5 works fine on me. And after re-upping on this, I was blown away again and realized, you know, why did you go looking for other bronzers when you already had the best? Like, this is, I don't want to say it's the best because, you know, I love my Becca one, but it's on up there as far as quality. It's very fragrant, very perfumey, and it's not completely matte. Like when you look at it, you can see little shimmer particles, but it doesn't look that way on the skin. But it just looks so gorgeous, and I like it with my animal haired bronzer brushes. I like to apply it that way, but it is so pretty on the skin. And the packaging, like of any bronzer that I have, the Guerlain packaging, it's like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? They have a little swirl in it. Can you guys see that? It's so pretty. Have fallen in love with it again. The last bronzer that I want to mention just took my breath away. I did a video on this, and I do want to say my Physicians Formula bronzers and Endless Summer and Sculpting bronzer are kind of honorable mentions, but I just don't have them over here with me. They didn't quite make my list, and I had to cut it off at some point, but they are also very, very good bronzers from the drugstore. I really do like them. But Cover FX, this bronzer probably made the most memorable, like lasting impression on me. Like I was so blown away when I tested this out, and as you can see, it's had a lot of love in this year. And it has like a shimmery side as well as a matte side. I use the matte side more, but lately I've been mixing them together in the directions they kind of use this sort of like as a highlighter type topper, but I just mix them together to get more of a sheen to the bronzer. And this is so beautiful. I dedicated a video to this, and I loved how it looked. I was blown away. The powder is very soft, and there is a lot of kick up in the pan, but it is just so soft and creamy that it just bronzes with very little effort. It's so good, guys. The one drawback is the packaging. Terrible, looks like bar soap, and it gets really dirty, and they only have 2 shades. This is the deepest one. This is Suntan Bronze. So that's the only part that's not good about this. They need to expand their shade range, but the quality is so good. Ever since I opened this, it stayed on my vanity and it did not budge. I loved it that much. I want to mention a couple of contour products, or they're kind of palettes, but I want to mention them. I'm going to mention this again, even though it's probably expired. But I know that they still make other versions of this. That's why I keep bringing it up in my favorites videos. If you haven't tried this Tarte kind of palette, then check out any of the most recent ones that they make. This is the Shayla palette, and I'm not getting rid of it. It's a limited edition. I'm not getting rid of it. It still works. It smells like chocolate. It's from Tarte and it's so good. The contour products are beautiful. This is a lighter one, deeper one. I typically use a lighter one. The blush is so natural, so pretty. I like using this brightening powder a lot. I used it today, like to brighten under my eye, and I'll like use it a little bit now. Like if I feel like I'm getting a little shiny and I want to brighten a little bit in the center of my face, I'll use this little, it's like a color corrector actually. I think they call it a color corrector, but I think of it as a brightening powder. I use this so much, and if I'm traveling, I will take this. Like I took this with me to my temporary home because it does so many things. And I felt like I had to have it with me there. This one is limited edition. It is no longer sold, but they have others that look very similar. So all in one type of product, so good. It was on my list last year. Still been using it this year. Had to tell you guys about it again. This product was a recent find and I want to talk about it. This is a Makeup Forever palette. It's like a trio that you can build yourself, and it costs $45. The actual palette, the case itself, is $2. So you pay $2 for this case, and if you buy all 3 products, it's $45. So it's more cost effective to buy 3, but you can purchase like only 1 if you like. So these pop out. I've been admiring these, and they look a little bit light if I get too close to my lighting. They're a little darker than they look on camera, but I've been looking at these in the store a lot, and I finally bought them. Nobody's talking about this product at all, but I'm a leader, not a follower. This is the highlighter. I'm wearing it today, actually. So I have it on today, and I think it is just one of the most beautiful highlighters. I like that it doesn't have glitter in it. Look how smooth that looks. I did top it with another highlighter, just a teensy weensy bit of another highlighter, and I'm going to talk about that one in a moment, but I didn't really have to. But look how smooth that is. It's just beautiful. And I have on the blush, and I also use this to contour. So I just recently purchased this at the end of the year, but I love it, and I had to tell you guys about it. Okay, one more contour that I want to mention. This was on the list last year. This is my KEVYN AUCOIN powder. I love this packaging. This is very small. I have a little bit of a dent in it. This is expensive. This is deep. It's the deepest one, and this is $44 for this little contour powder. $44, and I would do it over again. It's so good. It is so good. I keep it in its little velvet pouch. I think it's so special. It's a very pretty neutral color without looking too gray, without being too warm. It's just the perfect contour shade. So I love the KEVYN AUCOIN powder, and it was on my list last year, still on the list. Let's talk about blush. I don't have very many blushes to yes I do. Yes I do. The blush that I probably used the most this year was this Wanderlust Primer-Infused blush. This one is in the shade Mykonos, and it is by Buxom, and it's probably going to be on a lot of people's list. This is a beautiful coral. The Primer-Infused just seems to soften this blush. It is not sheeny. It's very natural, but it's very soft and beautiful and just easy to apply. Like, it's very easy to apply, and my favorite. It's just a very beautiful blush, and I think a lot of skin tones would like this. So was used more than any blush that I used all year. I kept going back to this one. I think I talked about it last year. This is the GALifornia blush by Benefit. It is also a coral. I'm finding that I really like coral blushes. It's very similar in color to the Mykonos blush. This one has a little bit of a sheen, just a little bit. Kept loving on it throughout the year. When I purchased the Mykonos blush, I purchased this Peach My Cheeks Ginger Peach blush, and I didn't use it as much as I used the Mykonos blush, but I started using it later and loved it. It's sort of a cream to powder finish, and it's sort of baked in here. I really have to use my like precision blush brush whenever I use this one. I bought this on sale. It still smells a little bit like peaches. Beautiful. So, so good. This one I have had a long time. This is the Too Faced blush. This one is Peach Beach, and it is a sheeny type of blush, sort of like the NARS Orgasm, except it's a peach color. Even though it doesn't look like much here, it shows up beautifully on my skin. I really use this quite a bit. I love it, love it, love it, and I grab it all the time. Okay guys, look, already changed into my next lipstick. I've already had my wardrobe change, but I forgot to mention a blush, so I had to come back. So this is Future Savvy coming back to tell you guys about this Milani blush in Luminoso. It is a new one. I have been carrying around the same ratty one forever. It had already hit pan. It's got a mirror here with brush, but the other one had hit pan, so I decided to finally replace it. And I was reminded how good this is. So ever since I purchased this new one, I've been using this all the time on a daily basis. It's a beautiful peachy coral color. You know, that's my favorite blush, evidently, based on the evidence I see here. So I just wanted to make sure to mention this. This is just such a beautiful, luminous blush from the drugstore, and it's by Milani, and it was a cult favorite for a long time, and I love this. I have two blush palettes I want to mention. One is this Hourglass Ghost blush palette. I got this towards the end of the year, and again, ambient. It's not a matte blush. It's beautiful. Like, the only matte blush that I've talked about here is that one in the Makeup Forever palette. That one's matte, but all of these other blushes have a little bit of softness and sheeniness, and I'm sort of loving that luminous look. I'm liking that on my cheeks, and this is really, really pretty. So definitely have been loving that. My other favorite sort of palette, I'm gonna start talking about this now as we transition into highlighter, was the Bloom palette. Oh my goodness. I don't know what made me want this palette. It was different, I guess. This is from Natasha Denona, and it's very different. It has this little flap here, and this is like a glow product, a cream-based glow product, and this is a blush. And it's like a pink. It looks really scary in the pan, but it just goes on as this really pretty pink. And this is sort of a, it's not a highlighter, it's something else that you kind of use to boost. It sort of goes on like as a shimmer of some sort. And then this is the highlighter. This is one of the best highlighters I've ever used, and I really want her to put it in its own pan just by itself. It's so good. Let me swatch that part for you guys, just so you can see. It's a champagne color, but it is this very beaming, beautiful highlighter. I got this year, and look at it. Can you tell that Savvy has been using this? I can see a dent in everything because I used it that much. Even these cream products, even though you know you're not supposed to put creams on top of powder, sometimes I did. Sometimes I would remember to use this first. Sometimes I put it on after and it still worked. And I filmed a video dedicated to that product. Highlighters. Let's talk about highlighters, guys. The Bloom highlighter was a favorite this year. I love that highlighter and would buy it definitely if it was sold as a single. And I also this year purchased this Shimmery Gold number 2. This is a Givenchy highlighter. So this Givenchy was embossed, but I've already used it to the point where the nice little embossed print is gone. But it is a nice gold. It's not too gold, but it's definitely not champagne, so it's more gold. And I don't have that many gold highlight. Yes, I do. I didn't really need it, but I heard it was really, really good, and it is really, really good. It stays on all day. This was a nice addition to my highlighter collection. This one I love, but let me tell you guys a problem I'm having with it. This is a Dior Skin Luminizer. Very pretty. However, at some point, it broke on me. Broke. The compact broke, and I don't know why I didn't drop it or anything. It just broke. But the product itself is so pretty. It's a highlighter I just kept looking at in the store and fell for. And it says Skin Luminizer, but I use it as a highlighter. It's really creamy and doesn't have too much glitter again, and so it just adds this beautiful sheen to the cheek. And I really think, like, if you wanted it to look like a natural highlight, you could apply this so that it looks like that's your natural glow if you really wanted to. So I guess I wore it out so much that it broke. But I used that quite a bit this year. I think I bought this one first and then the Givenchy. These are my two most used highlighters this year, other than like the Bloom one. Another one that I loved this year that I loved last year, I think I mentioned it last year, is this one by FENTY. This is Hustler Baby Mean Money. The main thing, I like the shimmer part of it. Like, it is right here. Look how dramatic that is. So pretty. And then this one is, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. It's more of a brightener to me because it doesn't have a lot of sheen in this side. And I like to use that one down the center of my face whenever I use it. But I find myself picking this back up all the time, going back to it. And when I want a nice pop-in highlight, I'll grab this one. It's a good everyday highlighter without being too much, but just adds a little bit more. Like, I think this one is popping a little bit more than the other two that I just showed you. So if I want a little bit more kick, I'll grab this one. This one I also purchased, and I used this on top of my Makeup Forever highlighter today, and this is Cookie. This is hard to pull off for my deeper skin by itself because it is very bright. Like, it is a very white almost highlighter, but it is such a pop-in highlighter. So a lot of times I will mix this with other things. I used to mix it with like a Becca highlighter that I had. I will mix it with other things, or I'll pop it just like on the center. So like, I got my little highlighter brush here and I'll just pop it like boop, 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 boop. Like, you see how they add a little bit of a kick right to the high point. It's so pretty. And so that's what I did today. It just added a little kick. So I love that. It comes with a little brush inside. It's from Benefit. Love it. Have enjoyed it. So these are my favorite highlighters for the year. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you all have enjoyed finding out more about my favorite bronzers, contour products, blushes, and highlighters. In my next video, I'm going to share with you all of my other favorites, my remaining favorite products, including eyeshadows, lipsticks, setting sprays, things like that. So if you want to find out more about those products, be sure to stay tuned for my final Best of 2019 video, which will be my part 3. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next one. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy, signing out.